Selling job. You think the best?
Yeah, they do. Even our seniors are excited to be involved, and it's a good mix of youth and older kids. But I encourage every recruit that comes in here to talk to as many kids on the team as they can. I think it's a big part of the process. As coaches, we can walk into a living room, or they can come here, we can sit down in our offices, and we can say whatever we want. But the validation of your program is through the kids in the program, and that's what I hope takes place on the weekends.
Do you look at the ranking for your recruiting classes? I think you guys are around 17, 18.
I will never look at one of those recruiting rankings as long as I live. So no one's going to tell me who a 3-star or 4-star athlete is. So we'll evaluate them, we'll look at it, and see where we sit.
Gary, a couple kids who got hurt early in camp, Kiefer and Dooley.
Yep.
How are they doing right now, and what do you expect from them going forward in the rest of bowl prep and then into the spring?
There's a few of those kids that are really back with us. Those are two of them. Galden's got back out with us a little bit. It's good to see them. And just that 15 or 20 minutes that we can do an individual after practice is a tremendous opportunity for every kid that's either been hurt or hasn't had a lot of reps. So it's good to see them back out here, number one. We'll amp that up a little bit more as we get deeper into bowl prep, and especially once we get to Orlando, then those kids can kind of get into a situation where hopefully they can run the offense and defense. But they need to take full advantage of every one of those opportunities right now.
How about Matt Miller? Do you expect him to get back for maybe the spring? I know he had that injury in the fall.
No, we'll see. We'll see where Matt's future is still very clouded. He won't be with us during this bowl prep for sure.
What has Jared Aberderis meant to you this season?
Like a lot of these kids, an awful lot. But Jared is a tremendous player, and he changes the game. When you can get him the ball down the field, and his ability to get open, make the big plays for us has been evident throughout this whole season. We need him big time in this next game to do it one more time for us. But he loves football, and it's contagious. It's contagious in practice. It's contagious on game day. It was contagious way back when in January, when he was every day he came out and was excited to get better. And the way he attacks life, he's a married kid. He's a great example for a lot of the kids in our program, just to kind of how to live your life and have outside. Being married in college is a challenge. He's handled it all very well, so he's another one of those. I'll remember him for a long time, but he's a tremendous leader and a great player.
It seemed like in the last game, Matthias was getting a little more time with Costigan. Is Costigan dealing with some things, and is Matthias playing better too?
Yeah, both. It really is, and that was kind of the plan early on. And Costigan has battled through a lot of things, like a lot of those kids on the O-line has, and they're not going to bat an eye and say that I'm sore, or I'm hurt, or I'm whatever. They're going to keep banging through it. But they both are playing at a good level now, and we really do need them both. So I think the mix of those two has been productive the last couple games.
Is Dallas back full go at this point?
No, he's not yet, and no, he is not. Limited in practice still, and fairly limited too. No, he's a ways away from being able to play.
Is he going to be back in time for the bowl game, or are you still looking at Dan?
That is the plan. Right now, we have to look at Dan because it has not progressed as fast as we thought it was going to, and Dan will be ready, obviously, but it's a major question mark to see if Dallas will be ready to play in this bowl game.
I know you keep an eye on the scout teams during practice and stuff. The freshmen who are being redshirted, have any of those guys made some big strides this year that have stood out to you?
There's a number of them. I hate to single those kids out. I guess if I had to, I'd sit back on the defense. The front kids have done a really nice job. Goldberg's been kind of in there and out of there. Cheekway, Alec have done a nice job. Dooley came back off his injury, and he really seems to be more active. Keelan looks to be full steam now after a couple knee injuries. So it's great to see that. Fumagalli on the offensive side is every day he seems to be making plays out there at the tight end position. And, Connor catches your eye too. He's a very athletic quarterback running around out there. So I hate to leave those kids out. I'm leaving some guys out, which you always will when you talk about them. But I'm proud of those kids.
Are there characteristics to that freshman class, your first recruiting class, and how would you describe that group?
I would just have to describe them as so far so good. I don't want to pat them on the back too much yet, but I'm proud of the way they've handled the weight room. Their body changes, you can definitely see it from August until now. They've kept their weight up, or they've kept their weight down, or they've gotten stronger. What we've asked them to do, they're on time. They move around their daily lives very well, and appear to be doing a good job in school. So they're doing good so far.
Gary, what past experiences do you have from players, either at Utah State or Utah, deciding to leave early for the NFL?
Yeah, I've had a few. You know, Kruger left us when we were at Utah. Robert Turbin, the running back, left us early at Utah State. You know, there's a couple other kids. It's just, you know, the big thing for me on that, again, is just communication and education, trying to help young men make the right decision and as we go through it. So it's I had a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of experience, but enough experience to understand what a kid goes through when he's in those moments. He gets stressed and he gets pulled, and you know, you're hearing information from people who think they know but they don't know, and so I want to be the guy in the middle that can simply support and help. I don't have all the answers to the NFL, but I think I know what's best for the kid and right for kids, and I'll try to just help them go through that process.
Do you remember where you were a year ago today, around this time, and what's this past year been like? Just kind of a whirlwind.
You know, I think a lot about that. I think about that quite a bit. I don't know exactly where I was a year today. I suppose getting ready to play a bowl game, but it's been a crazy year. It's been a lot of fun. It's been hectic. It's had its ups and downs. Wake up every day with a smile on my face, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. I love where I'm at, but it's been a great year and a very challenging year for sure. We're excited about year two too.
Gary, you mentioned South Carolina's offense and defense a lot. What about their special teams? What sort of problem might they present in this game?
You know, they've got a lot of speed. You know, they cover down the field very, very well. The kicking game, you worry about them taking chances. Fake field goal, fake punt. You know, I know that's definitely part of their deal. I hope people respect us in that area too, but we do. So we try to, you know, plan for the best you can for those situations. But I would say overall that they tackle well on special teams, and they've got very good speed on special teams, and that's always worrisome. They got a great returner who's made some big plays for them, so it'll be a challenge.
Dave Aranda was kind of kicking himself this week. He said going to prep going into Penn State, he saw some things that maybe just weren't quite right, and kind of blames himself for not doing something. Did you see anything leading up in that week, Gary?
You know, no, I didn't. But I would say this: I think that's a sign of a great coach when you can sit back and if you don't think it's right, you know, you need to try to correct yourself. And sometimes that's a feeling, and you play very well, and it goes the other way too in those situations. But Dave feels responsible anytime that the defense doesn't play well, and he's always going to look back and try to dissect it as well as Andy does, and as well as Jeff and Bill do on special teams. And I think all our position coaches are like that too. So you can kick yourself and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, but at the end we have to learn from it and move on. And Dave will prepare them, and the kids will take a lot of pride in the direction they're headed. But I didn't see anything that was glaring to me. I thought we practiced well, and we got beat by the better team on that day, which Penn State won the game. So obviously they were a better team.
Gary, when a player gives you a verbal to come here, do you still pursue him after the verbal commitment? How much do you still recruit them?
Oh, hard. Yeah, very much. We stay right in the middle of it, and if a young man says that he's committed to us, it doesn't really change the process for us as far as how we turn around and recruit him. Recruiting at this level can get a little bit old for some of those parents that have been here for maybe 10 times now in the last year and a half, so you can only see the weight room so many times. But we do go out there and continue to recruit them hard, get into their homes. Nice thing about this time of year is it can go from a recruiting standpoint to just get to know each other a little bit, and those are enjoyable home visits. I only get to go out one time on the road and see them in their homes, so that's always a good time for me.
Gary, how important is this week in terms of just developmental practices, and who have you who has flashed to you that maybe you're a little surprised by with just their development over the year?
Well, a lot of them are flashing in positive ways, which is good to see. I think the overall, I just look at the development from where they were in August to where they are now. I'm impressed. They're bigger, they're stronger, they carry themselves with a little bit more confidence, most of them, and that's good to see. But we need to take a long, hard look. I think the corner crew is working hard, and it's good to see some of those kids. You saw E.J. Jordan running around over there a little bit today at the defensive back position, and is that a forever thing? I don't know, but we'll continue working through that with a lot of those kids. Again, it's hard to single them out. I hate to single all those kids out, but I'm proud of the way they've handled themselves off the field and as well as on the field, and these practices are invaluable.
AJ's done some things covering kicks too. I mean, he was a pretty highly touted guy coming in. Does that say something that he would be willing to do whatever he can to help? Yeah, and he is. He's excited.
Coach Bush was the one that really came to me and said, AJ may be able to help us on the other side. We talked about it in the staff meeting briefly, and you don't ever want to give a kid up when you got what you think is a pretty good player on the other side. But it's a good, it's more than just it's not just an experiment. It's a good opportunity for AJ to get in there because he's shown he can tackle, he's shown he's physical, and that young man has a huge care factor and loves the game of football. So that's a good place to start.
Corner, safety, both?
Yeah, right now both. We're just kind of seeing where we're at and how he kind of handles the whole thing. But could be either. He's a good-looking kid that plays hard.
Is it hard to juggle how hard you work him in bowl practice to get him to peak in time at the right time?
Yeah, it is.
Is that a feel thing?
I talk to the kids. I think it's a little bit of a feel thing. Yes, keeping them fresh. But I've got some, real honest minds on this football team that they'll let me know what they think and how they feel. And now it's the hardest time right now because it's finals, and everybody says, well, next week is finals week, but if you know anything about college finals, they started 4 or 5 days ago, and these kids are grinding out papers and working very hard. So that balance for them from a mental standpoint, walking in here and being excited about practice, and then physically keeping them in the weight room, bringing them out here and keeping their edge, it gets dicey in my mind, and I just try to listen to the kids and do what I think is right and kind of lean on the prep that I've had in the past, which is has worked reasonably well. So hopefully we can keep them fresh and get them going. But they seem to be in a good spot today.
Do you do any live stuff at all before the bowl game just to snap them back in?
No, we won't take them to the ground. We've been pretty physical, 9-on-9. Then we go to the typical stuff we do. It's a very condensed version of a spring practice, and you'll see more of that as we get into Florida. But it will be physical. That the 26th practice will be a grinder practice. Will kind of wake us all up and get us moving back in the direction of, hey, we've got a game coming on us pretty quick.
Was that the first time you saw that stadium down there in Orlando, and kind of what were your thoughts about just kind of the thoughts about it being down there?
Yeah, it's a nice stadium. It looks like been a lot of games played in that place over the years. I know that's for sure, and it'll be a great venue for our kids. It looks like it's. I walked in there thinking it was grass, and I was sadly mistaken. So it's just like the stuff we usually play on week in and week out. But it's going to be a nice stadium. Capital One Bowl people were unbelievable. While we were there, kids are going to have a first-class time. It's our job to play well when the opportunity presents itself. But it's a nice setting. Good. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gary.